Are you an international student looking for a job at DU but don't really know where to start? In this video, Victoria and Elise will be discussing what the job application process looks like at DU.
Hi, I'm Victoria. I'm an international student from Brazil. I was not born in Brazil, but I lived most of my life there. I grew up there. My whole family's from there, so I'm international in a different sense. But I've been here at DU for about 3 years. I'm in my senior year right now, and my major is international studies, which I just finished, and now I'm finishing up my master's in social work.
Hooray! Hi, Victoria. I'm Elise Alexander. I use she, her pronouns, and here at DU, I work as the Assistant Director of Student Employment. So anytime a student wants to work on campus, they come under my portfolio. And today we're going to talk about things that international students should know about working on campus. So yeah, what are some of the things that you hear from international students that are new or confusing that they're not sure about with working on campus?
I guess I hear from a lot of them that they can't work on campus, or that they don't have any opportunity to. And then other questions are how to do it. So is it the same process as domestic students? Like, do they have a special place that they apply, or is it all the same? Kind of walk me through the process. I think that would be clarifying.
Yeah, for sure. And I've definitely heard those things as well, especially like coming into a new country. You may or may not know all these very complicated systems, and it can be kind of scary. Like, the stakes are very high.
Yeah.
So let's see. First thing is, yes, international students can work on campus. It'll depend on your visa type what the exact regulations are, but especially for F1 and J1 students, you can work on campus, not off campus. There is a 20-hour limit while classes are in session. And then when classes are not in session, so like winter break, summer break, you can work up to 37.5 hours, which is full-time here at DU. All of the jobs for students at DU are listed on one website, and the way you find them there is the same for international students, domestic students, whoever. And this website is called PCO. Students can get there by going to du.edu/PCO. And that's where all of the student jobs are listed. Sometimes that's a lot, so it can be helpful to use filters to find like just student jobs on campus, not all jobs, to find just jobs that are in certain fields, that kind of thing. Because there are jobs all over. Sometimes students, again, domestic and international, think that the only jobs on campus are like working the desk or working a research job, but pretty much everywhere on campus hires students. I mean, you work for international admissions, right?
Yeah, I've worked for international admissions for 3 years now, and it is a very professional job. It's not like a desk assistant or an RA, which are valuable jobs, but I feel like from my experience, I never had a job before. It's not very common, like in my culture in Brazil, to have jobs when you're like 15 or 16. You normally get your first job in college, so that's what I did. And the role has shifted a lot within these past 3 years. Like, COVID really affected our office, but it's really like taught me a lot of, responsibility of, organizing my time, or else something's gonna fall through the cracks. So it really is a professional job that I would say I could do postgraduate. So I really enjoy it.
Yeah, and like also money is important.
Yep.
We live in the world and we need money so that we can pay rent and like get medication and food and sometimes have fun. Yeah, so like that is also an important part of working. But I've heard from students that like this can be a really important way to start building your resume, to build skills. And especially from international students, I've heard that it can be an important way to like build your confidence in a new place, to feel connected to DU in a way that you might not otherwise if you're coming into a new place and you're not sure, should I join this club or should I go to this activity? If you have a job on campus, you know where you're going and when you're going there, and you have a role, and so it can make it a lot easier to learn the culture that you're in, and if English isn't your first language, to get practice with professional English.
Yeah, no, I agree. So for international students jobs, is there any type of job that they are like allowed to do, not allowed to do, any like requirements, or any job on PCO works?
So most international students are not going to be eligible for jobs that say federal work study. They'll say work study only or federal work study. And that means jobs that are funded by money from the US federal government, and usually international students will not be eligible for those jobs. There are definitely jobs on campus that are not work study funded, but it is important as you're going through the jobs in PCO or coming to our job fair or whatever to notice the ones that say work study only, because usually that means that department doesn't have the funding to pay for a student out of their own budget. But that doesn't mean the job itself is different. It just means the source of the funding is different.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what do international students need to apply for jobs?
Really the main thing that you'll need initially when you're applying to jobs on PCO is a resume. So this is a document that in most other countries outside of the US is called a CV, and the standards are very different for every different country. And this is a place where it can be really important to work with a career advisor on campus. And everybody on campus has a career advisor, but especially for international students when they're first coming to DU, it can be really important to meet with a career advisor, or at least to look at the resources on the Career Services website so that you can see what those standards are for a US resume. For example, a couple things that are often different. No picture. Do not include a picture of yourself. Do not include personally identifying information like your race, your age, your marital status, your religion, which again, in some countries is required information. Usually your resume is going to be about 1 page, which is very different again. And it should be tailored to each job. So you want to look at the job description and say, okay, you want somebody who can communicate with visitors and keep a space tidy and manage a database. When have I done those things? It's important to learn about those standards for resumes in the US and to do that tailoring, because otherwise you may not make a lot of headway in your job search, and that can be really frustrating.
So you said all about applying on PCO and all that good stuff. What is the process after that?
You submit your resume. The hiring manager looks at your resume and says, wow, you're wonderful. They may want to interview you. Usually this will be quick. It'll be 30 to 60 minutes, either Zoom or in person, and they'll ask you some questions about your experience and how you're qualified for the job. And then they'll say, wow, you really are wonderful. And then they'll make you an offer. So they'll call you or they'll email you and say, hello, we would like to hire you. Would you like to take this job? And if you say, yes, I would love to take this job, the next steps are going to be a little bit different for international students than for domestic students. For international students who don't already have a social security number, they'll need to get this offer in writing, and the International Student Scholar Services, ISSS, office on campus has a template for this, and they'll need to take some of their documentation and also that offer letter to the Social Security Administration office in Denver. And that's where they can apply for a social security number. And once they do that, once they've applied and that process is in motion, they can tell their hiring manager, okay, let's move forward. And the next step will be a background check, which is usually very quick and very easy, and then getting officially hired and beginning work. It's really important to not begin work before you go through all these steps, because that could violate the terms of your visa, and also it could mean you don't get paid for a little bit, even if you are able to get started.
To clarify, per the Social Security Administration, students who have applied for a Social Security number can begin working before the Social Security number has been received. This means you can work without having a Social Security number. However, you must submit all forms related to obtaining a Social Security number before you can start working. Therefore, you must be in the process of receiving a Social Security number to begin work. So, don't be afraid to apply for jobs and start working. Just stay in touch with your supervisors throughout the whole process. Please visit the link Social Security Numbers and International Students in the description box below for more information.
So, it's really important to remember all these steps and also to work closely with your advisor in ISSS.
Yeah. Oh, the background check, it's good to know. I also had to go through the background check. Everybody I know that started any job had to have a background check. It's not just for international students. I have one last question. Do you provide, I'm in a job and I want to further my knowledge, want to learn more, I want to specialize in something. Do you offer any trainings or any sort of materials that you usually find on LinkedIn to further your qualifications?
Yeah, that's me. That's my job. And I actually came in to do a training for the global ambassadors last year. So my job essentially is to provide support and training for student employees at DU. I can come in to staff meetings of student employees and do trainings. I also do trainings for student employees all across campus about different workplace skills. So things like conflict management in the workplace, or communication, or using different technologies in the workplace. And one new thing that we've launched this year is a badging program for student employees, again open to domestic and international students who want to reflect on how to apply what they've learned as student employees to their future career and to be ready to tell employers in the future, this is what I got out of my job on campus.
Oh, the badging system's new. I gotta look into that one.
Yeah.
Those are all the questions I had. Is there anything that you want to add? Anything else that you want to talk about?
I'm here for everybody who is a student employee, wants to be a student employee, is considering being a student employee. So you can always contact me at stuemp, which is our very silly email address, stuemp@du.edu. This stands for student employment. And I can help you with finding a job, being in the job, leaving the job, everything to do with jobs on campus. And I don't know, Victoria, is there anything you would want to leave, final bit of advice for international students thinking about working on campus?
I would say just don't be scared. I know for domestic students or international students, the same. We're all very hesitant to apply for jobs and get a job and then start working and, start building those skills. But most people here at DU really know that you're a student employee, so they probably know that you don't have that much professional experience, so they're there to kind of mentor you and teach you. They're not going to assume that you know everything about everything. They kind of also want to teach you. They want to be there and mentor you and get to know you. So don't be scared to apply for jobs. And if you have any questions, maybe not about the technical side of jobs and employment, you can always ask one of our ambassadors on Unibuddy or me. So if you go into international admissions, someone will pop up on the side of your screen and you can start chatting with them, or you can pick an ambassador that you want to talk to. And if you decide to come to DU, or if you're already at DU, join the Global Ambassadors. We're very fun.
For more information, please visit the DU website. Our staff and those working in the Career and Professional Development Center are more than happy to answer any and all of your questions.